Good morning, everybody. Cowboy here, and it is 8:22 a.m. EST. Started a little bit early today. We have some data coming out. We have the employment data, I should say the unemployment data. As a matter of fact, let's flip over to that screen. I wanted to start early so we could see what might happen live with the price action. That was actually the intention yesterday, and I'm not used to starting early, and I just kind of started on time, and that happened. But we have core retail sales and unemployment claims hitting in 7 minutes and 25.432 seconds, right? So that's what we're looking at. And so I'm going to go ahead and talk about what may happen here across the board. Now, I have been predicting that the NASDAQ would just kind of grind up, and that's what it's doing. And that's just kind of what I drew right there, more or less. Bitcoin itself did bounce pretty decently. I thought we would see it head up, especially with the bill being signed and so forth. And so my original private look as to what would happen, this is what I drew for Algo Factory, was that it would head up, and clearly it looked like it would head up and did for a short time, but it looks like it's back into this consolidation, and it might end up being range locked for a bit. So I did have a new projection that I drew this morning, and so far it's following that as well. So it looks like we'll see price go at least sideways for a while. And if I were to just get rid of these projections, then essentially what we're looking at here, and let me take a brief look at the algo screen here. Don't worry about this screen. I know it looks crazy if you're new to the game. It's just the algos. Yeah, I think price is right now in the short term going to try to go back and retest 116, and we might see a bit of a range develop. This might have been this bit of a breakout here might have been a fake out breakout. Again, just based on what I'm seeing right now, and the last several minutes of price action, I would even think that price could come back down just to grind down and revisit 116-ish, the bottom of this consolidation right here, right? And as it does that, I think it'll eventually head back up, bounce back around here, make its way out. Now, of course, price may need to reset and head down to 112. And that is quite possible. That's very possible. But, in the meantime, we're going to see what happens, right? We're going to see if it does that, see if it doesn't, and how price behaves at these key structure points is what's going to give us the clues, right? So as price comes to this level, like right here, the algos are going to give me some clues as to what might happen. Now, today's data could push price around a bit. This is on a relatively high time frame. And what that means is that high time frames, they don't tend to move very strong. Like they don't, the high time frame, even if the data, comes out, what have you, it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to see a huge move. You see it on a lower time frame usually, but that's if the data is relatively close to expectations. You will see a large move if, in fact, the data is really far off from expectations. So if we go back to this screen right here, right now, core retail sales is expected to be 0.3%, right? And then you have, that's month over month. So what they're expecting is a small increase of, or I don't know if it's small relative, but a relative increase of 0.3% month over month. If it's like 0.9, then it's like, okay, the economy is strong. We don't expect a rate cut. Dollar will get strong. And anything against the dollar might go down. So like, for example, Bitcoin or NASDAQ might see a move down, but it would have to be a pretty, the estimate would have to be way, way off for it to be a strong move down in markets right now. The other thing is, let me see, I got to spread the link around. The other thing is that we're in the earnings season. And so a lot of what's going on in markets is going to be sensitive to that. You're talking about earnings, which is, the stock market, people's retirements. You have major funds, and major funds are going to be concerned with where the price of stocks are, especially those who are holding lots of options. As we near a Friday, I'm not sure if tomorrow is an expiration day, but the point remains that the price of stocks is very politically sensitive. And so as that happens, some of this data might be muted or fudged to maybe not be so effective or to be effective in the direction that they want it to go. So the thing about the data, and this is why I tend not to trade news ahead of time, I do have a strategy that I play, and I'll kind of share that. I'm not going to share the details, the secrets of it, if you will, but what I try to do, and I wasn't able to pull it off this morning. I actually was in a small trade to the following effect, but I just, it didn't last. Is what I try to do is to get into a trade in the direction of the market. So, for example, around 5:30, I find a trade that looks like this, and then I don't really have a take profit, or if I do, it's really far away. And then I'll have a stop loss here, and then as price goes in a profit, what I do is I actually will raise the stop loss to just below my entry. And then if the news goes in my direction, it goes way into my profit zone. And if it goes against me, I am out of the trade with no loss. This morning, unfortunately, I was not able to do that. Just the market's moving too slow. I mean, I was in a trade like that, and then I put my stop to entry and I got stopped out. So that's just a bit of a gambly thing to do. The data's about to drop here really soon. Here we got a minute and 46 seconds left. And I do believe we're going to see most of the action here in the forex market. And the EUR/USD has been a bit more volatile than other pairs lately. So I think we'll watch the EUR/USD. And what there is to know, and this is on the 1 minute chart, folks, we are zooming in. We're only looking back to prices going back to the European Open right now. So this is, the European Open was a move up here and then a move back down in the direction of what was going on shortly before the Open. So if in this case, is it out now? No, we got 2 minutes. If all the data, retail sales, if it's not mixed data, if all the data is in the same direction saying, hey, the economy is good, then the dollar will get strong and this chart will continue down, right? That's EUR versus the USD. It's happening in 1 minute. So it's, you're looking at the euro versus the dollar, right? So the dollar's in the second half of that. So if the dollar gets strong, the euro gets comparatively weak and this would head down. Now, if in fact the data came out that the market was weak, like say unemployment was high, right? Then this would shoot up a little bit. Now, if the data is extremely disparate to what was estimated, then you'll see a large move. If the data is pretty close to estimated, or if it's mixed, then you'll probably see a little bit of kind of wackiness where it goes back and forth and then stops going. It just calms down. So here we go. Data's out. And it looks like so far it was dollar strong data, right? See how it's headed down right now? Now we got to be careful because what happens is the greedy traders will have already gotten short, right? And then price might come back up and grab right here. Now my JPY trade that I got stopped out of, I would have won. Unfortunately, it stopped me out, but this would have won had I maybe had a deeper stop. That's not true. What would have happened is I would have won just had I gotten in earlier to the trade and it didn't stop me out. But it looks like, dollar strong news. So unemployment data or employment data must be good. Oh yeah, this is all dollar strong. So you got retail sales. We're supposed to be estimated at 0.3%. It's 0.5. Retail sales month over month is huge. It's 50 basis points higher than expected. 0.6% increase. And then the unemployment claims were a little bit less than expected. So this is all dollar strong news. Now this will calm down. This actually was the direction that markets wanted to go. So, it's going to continue in that direction. But once all of the jitters kind of calm down, ideally this comes back down a bit and I can look for an entry and go long right there. Okay. That's what we'll look for. In the meantime, let's take a look at Bitcoin and see if it's affected. Not really, not a very big effect on Bitcoin as I discussed. I think Bitcoin is just going to continue in its given direction. I mean, this is what's odd about it though. This was dollar strong news and yet Bitcoin popped up. Should be going the opposite direction. NASDAQ is doing as expected. NASDAQ is going down with the dollar strong news because the NASDAQ is all relative to the USD. And it looks like the way that I predicted things in a general sense is pretty accurate. accurate. Yeah, I did this prediction yesterday, and it just more or less is going along with what I drew in a general sense. When I do these predictions, it's not supposed to exactly follow the line. It's just like, hey, this is pretty much what I think it's going to do. And as long as price kind of crosses over this line once or twice, that's, I consider that a win, right? So, and this is a zoom out of that prediction. And I think it will continue. Like it might drop down a little bit today based on that news, but ultimately, I think the stock market's just going to continue to grind up slowly. So that's that. Let's take a look at gold really quick. I don't expect a lot out of gold, but look at that. Gold continues down. This is only on the 30-minute chart. So let's zoom out a little bit because for me, gold matters more on the higher time frame. But yeah, my Sunday kind of look at things is pretty accurate. I expected sideways action and not a lot. And that's what we're getting, right? So let's look at the beast, GBP/JPY, irrelative to the dollar, if irrelative is a word. So yeah, this one has to break this resistance before it will do anything, but it is bullish high time frame. It's just come to a point where, it's meeting a lot of resistance and has to break above that. So I think for the GBP/JPY, we will see price consolidate below here. We might even get a slight pullback, but I don't think so. And that point is 199, 620-ish. That's where the peak is back here. So it's just trying to break that, and it's really marching up very steadily up against that. So decent possibility this will break above. And let's go ahead and take a look at some more charts here. Feel free to request if you are watching, and you could go in the comments. I believe it's only YouTube comments, but I've seen comments from Rumble and X come through, but I don't see them too often. I know we got a lot of people. Well, today is pretty small crowd, but I know a fair amount of people watch on X. So feel free to ask for charts. Guess what? It's why I do this. I come live for everybody to see. XRP says, Crispy, thanks for asking. Okay, so I'll give you a warning ahead of time. I will chart it for you, but charting XRP, in my opinion, is kind of useless. It's looking great. Obviously, it's really moving up nicely. And I got a buddy of mine who owns a hedge fund who really, he got in nice and early on this recently, like relatively early. So XRP is doing great. But the thing about XRP is it's going to go up when it goes up. There are two reasons that XRP goes up. Number one is when Bitcoin goes up. Number two is when XRP goes up, right? So it's not terribly chartable if you take my meaning on that. My opinion on XRP is that it will do well in the future because of who is interested in it. But at the same time, we have to understand it's just going to go up when it does. Like charting it is not that useful. Yes, you could probably do some short-term, there's some short-term type stuff. Like you could probably, win a trade as it's FOMOing, things like that. It is approaching this high of 338, and whether or not that's the all-time high, I think that was the all-time high. No, as far as I can tell. At least going back to 2019. Let me look at an older chart here, see if we've been higher than this ever. That's Coinbase. Well, I'm surprised this. Let's see if we can get an older chart here. I don't remember Ripple going above $3. Yeah, I think the high before was like $2 in 2021. Okay, here we go. Right at the all-time high. Ripple's right at the all-time high. Like the all-time high in 2018 was 331. And that was a massive alt run back then. I don't think the alts have performed percentage-wise like that ever since. But you got 331 was the all-time high. It's right below that. That does matter in a charting sense. All-time highs do tend to be respected. And the all-time high actually is 338. So that, it barely broke the prior all-time high just this year in January. So that is the new all-time high, and price looks like it wants to challenge that. Ripple is tricky though. Again, it's not something that I'm like, hey, I'm going to chart this and I'm going to use my algos. Like, yes, I can. It's relatively profitable, but it's just not as profitable as trading other things. Bitcoin is more profitable to trade by far, as far as my own algos are concerned. And I don't know anybody else whose algos or trading method is really that great with Ripple. I've been trading crypto since 2017. And for many years, it was exclusively crypto. And XRP is something I just simply wouldn't touch from a trading standpoint. But it is pretty, you know, it's pretty robust. I mean, it's held up nicely. It was down to 50 cents, a little bit lower than that. It actually went down to about 30 cents. So we're sitting at a times 10 from where it was in 2022 in the bear. And it just bottom crawled for, like 2 years almost, maybe longer than that. So June of 22 to October 24. So longer than 2 years, it did nothing. And that's kind of what Ripple does. It does nothing and then it does a lot. And that's what we're seeing now. So for me, Ripple is a buy and hold. I'm not interested in trading it. And I generally don't even chart it. To me, it's an investment. So I hope that helps. I know it's probably not what you were looking for, but that is what it is. Now I know what do you call it? Stellar went crazy like last week. It went from 22 cents and it more than doubled. And it still looks pretty bullish. Let me, and I'll go back to Ripple really quick in a second, but both of these are also extremely bullish on the high time frame. They're pretty bullish, so they could just continue up, both Ripple and XLM. Just from an algorithmic standpoint, these have no problem continuing up. That's where the algos are good, at least on the higher time frame for these coins. But trying to trade them on the super low time frame, not so much. So anyway, that's the look. Thanks for asking, Chris. I appreciate it. And if anybody else has any questions, we got time for one more before I go over to the Algo Factory private live lab. I'm going to go ahead and set that up. If you guys have any more questions, the charts you want to see, I'm going to go back to USDJPY to show you all just why or how what I said would happen, right? I said it popped up and then it would head back down really quick. So a lot of greedy people got long. And guess what just happened to them? Let's go down to the 1 minute chart. This is why I don't trade the news, except for the method that I would normally trade, right? And I'll show you what that was before we go. But a lot of people got long and now they're getting wiped out. See that? A lot of people got long, they got greedy, and now they're getting wiped out. So if you're going to trade the news, you have to do it in such a way where you're not going to lose money. And again, I will show Algo Factory how I did that. I don't want to relate too much here. I explained it, but I'll show it graphically to Algo Factory in the private live lab. So if you have any more, like I said, questions, I will. I have time for one more chart. If I don't hear any requests, I'll just head over to the private live lab. And while I'm waiting for any requests to come through, just remember that what we do is we predict price. And we teach you how to develop your own algorithm such that you can predict the movement of price, whether that's in crypto or, precious metals or stocks, whatever you want to trade. And when you have the capability to predict the future of price, then you have the capability to extract money from the markets on a regular basis. And this is what we do. Interesting. Let me see, Koob. Koob, who is an Algo Factory member, says that Bitcoin dominance is dropping. Now so Bitcoin dominance, we'll talk about this. Okay. So this is Bitcoin BTC.D, Bitcoin dominance on the 1 minute chart. Let me zoom out a little bit so we can get some perspective. That's a pretty significant drop, right? So what Bitcoin dominance is, it's a measure of the money in the crypto sphere that is going into or out of Bitcoin. Is Bitcoin dominating the space? Right? So if all of crypto is going up, and that's like crypto's market cap, but then most of the money is going into Bitcoin, then this goes up. Or even if all the money is going down, if the price of all crypto, if money's leaving crypto, but it's going towards BTC as compared to the rest of crypto, then this goes up. And Bitcoin dominance is kind of a sign of what might be happening next in the market. And if dominance is going down, that means money is going into the alts. And if the price of Bitcoin is going up over time and dominance starts to fall, a lot of people read that as, lost a chart view. I'm on YouTube. I'm looking at YouTube. It looks like I haven't lost a chart view. Got a note in our private live lab. Someone saying they can't see the chart, but I see it just fine. So back to the, I'm looking at YouTube. I don't see a problem. Anyway, hopefully you can see this. If not, then oh well. So it's more about explaining dominance anyway, but you should be able to see this on YouTube. The point is that in this point, with a strong crypto market heading up, all new highs, dominance going down is probably a reflection of Ethereum. Ethereum's been doing really well lately, and at least on the dollar side of like the price of Ethereum against the dollar is doing well. And there are a lot of people in crypto who've been around for a while and who have a lot of money because they've been around for a while and they're heavily vested in Ethereum. And when Ethereum starts to go up in the old days, and to a certain degree in the current days, that is the start of the alt party when the altcoins do well. So with Ethereum going up, you're looking at Bitcoin money leaving Bitcoin going into Ethereum because Bitcoin's not really going down. I mean, it is technically, it's seeing a little bit of a move down, but on this scale, Bitcoin has not really changed. You know, we're looking at the daily chart. Bitcoin's still nice and high, but it's, you know, the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, the last week or so, Bitcoin has not moved. And Ethereum, that's the euro. Let's go down to Ethereum. And Ethereum is moving. So that's pretty clear. You know, Bitcoin's price isn't changing. The amount of Bitcoin's not changing very fast. And yet Ethereum is going up and Bitcoin is remaining stagnant. So that's what I see. That's why I think dominance is going down. And there's a lot of money going into like Bonk and all the, you know, all the shit coins too. So, you know, that's just what's going on. Long story short, Bitcoin made an all-time high and now is basically finding an equilibrium. So money is leaving Bitcoin, going into the altcoins. That's what that means, to answer your question. All right. Thanks for watching. And one last thing about dominance, it's not that interesting that it's dumping like this because I just explained it. And on top of that, if you back away and you look at the general trend, right, it's not really a big difference in what's been going on. Now, if this, and I'm going back to like 2023 here, right? Now, if this goes like this, then I'll be interested. But right now, it's just along the same trend. It's just at the bottom of that trend, right? So nothing has like quantitatively changed to any significant degree on a high time frame. Not that interesting. Got to zoom out. All right, good. Thanks for watching, everybody. Go to the description. The link is in the description. You get a free algo. We'll also put you on a list, let you know when we're doing our free workshop. Our first workshop will be free. They'll be paid after that. And what you're going to do is watch me trade for a few days, like 2 or 3 days. You watch me just go through the market. And I can't promise anything is going to happen. I can't promise I'll win the trades because even the best traders lose like a good percentage of their trades. I don't know too many traders who are winning more than like 75% of their trades. And most of them are sitting at like a 65% level and maybe 70. They're just systematic about things. That's how trading is. It's a probability game. Think of it this way. If I had a slot machine and I could tell you, you know, I could honestly, knowingly tell you that you will win 60% of the time just to double your money. So you're going to put $1 in and pull $2 out if you win, right? And 60% of the time you're going to win. What would you do? You would play that slot machine all day long. You know what I mean? That's what you would do. What any sane person would do. V, what would you do if I? Good morning, by the way.
Goodness of mornings, my friend.
If I had a slot machine,
yes,
and you knew for a fact that 60% of the time you would double your money, 40% of the time you would lose what you put in.
I'll play that all day, man.
All day. That's all you do, right?
Yeah.
I look like one of those, you know, old whales in Vegas, hypnotized. You know how they do. Like I got videos of it. Now they're playing a losing game. This is why gambling is ruined for me. Because what we're doing is we're gambling, but we're putting the odds in our favor.
Yes.
So, and that's the law of large numbers. So if you could win 60% of the time and all you're doing is doubling your money and you knew that to be true, all of us, every single person in this room would go sit in front of that slot machine And
We would have moved. I would have
probably
moved. I would just stay there.
dude,
I'd set up some pillows, some sheets. You get a sandwich, bag of organic Doritos.
by the time I was done with that slot machine, they would have to. I would look like that person at like those Walmart scooter people.
Yeah.
'Cause that's how big I'd be. Because I wouldn't move. I'd be sitting there pulling that thing. If I had to go to the bathroom, I would have a string attached to that handle,
Right.
and I'd be like, pulling that string from the bathroom.
Oh yeah.
So anyway, that's a joke. It's not really a joke though. If I had those odds, that's what would happen. You got here just in time, V. Do you have anything to say to the public before we head over to the private live lab?
No, just follow us to the private live lab. It's chaos again, folks, erupting all over the world, and you need to be with the chaos. I don't know what we call ourselves. We're not the merchants of chaos, but we're the
crash helmets.
We are the crash helmets of chaos.
I like it. That's good.
Oh my god, yeah. Anyway, join us, guys, over at the private lab. Learn to profit from the chaos. Learn to take advantage of it. Stop being a victim financially, and join us. That's it.
Join us or die.
Just kidding. You're not going to die. Just having fun.
Join us or cry.
Or cry when you realize you have not made the money you could make.
You have
Goodbye.
not made any monies.